hydrogen. We ask whether green hydrogen can be one of the answers to our power crisis. We're now joined by Naphtally Mafa, the co-founder of Australian-based Paladin Newzroom Afrika, born and bred in Bulabedu, Limpopo. His company has developed a large-scale coal-to-hydrogen plant to produce emissions-free hydrogen. Before we get into conversation, let's remind you of what President Cyril Ramaphosa said during his address of the political report on Friday about hydrogen.
We also need to look at how, as our coal mines run out of coal, how we are going to address that challenge, as many other countries are already beginning to do so. We need to skill, upskill, and reskill workers who will be affected to take up positions in new industries. The good and fortunate thing for us is that unions within our COSATU federations have already started this conversation. And indeed, the federation itself has already come to grips with the exigencies of climate change. Now, affected communities need to benefit from the building of new renewable energy plants and new industries. And I can say opportunities that are going to be yielded as we move to new forms of energy are going to benefit our economy. For instance, the hydrogen economy is an economy that is beckoning, that is calling us. The Northern Cape is going to be a great beneficiary, as indeed a number of other provinces in this regard.
Let's have a solutions-oriented conversation with Naphtally Mafa, who is doing extensive work on hydrogen. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for joining us. So in order to find a solution, we have to first identify the challenges or the problem. How would you characterize South Africa's energy landscape?
At the moment, I don't know if it needs research. You just have to wake up in the morning to find that there's no lights, and the water is not hot, and if you're going to drive to work, there's no lights. And so it's quite extreme in a way that the economy is struggling. Everything else snowballs out of that. So it's kind of a, I don't know if it can go any higher or lower than what it is now. So I certainly don't want it to go any lower or higher, which way, depending on where you look at it. So it's a crisis. It's an energy crisis, yes.
And the solution you also propose is hydrogen. Perhaps talk us through, for instance, would switch on the lights, but if we go a couple of steps back, how would it work with hydrogen?
So hydrogen is a critical ingredient in what we are transitioning to. So going back to what the Honourable President was just saying before, we shared the same sentiment at the conference back in just late last month in Cape Town. That's why we are saying that we have got, this is what we have in South Africa at the moment. We have got a lot of coal. So that's a given. According to the Council of Geosciences, in excess of over 300 years of coal reserve that we have in the country. We've got a very unemployment percentage in the country, but we also have infrastructure, solid infrastructure. So we've got the power stations. What we can do is we can make use of what we have. We can clean up the industry, the coal industry, and make use of that.
So not necessarily doing away with coal?
Well, I'm going to say now to the people of Emalahleni that Emalahleni kahle. The coal industry is not over yet. That is the hub. That is the foundation of Africa. That is the just transition that is just, that is right, that is also current for us. So there is nothing wrong. We support our leaders. We continue to support our leaders to support us because that's what we need. We need to work together in harmony. So the fact here, though, is that there is nothing wrong with the coal. There is everything wrong with the emissions. And then again, you don't have to do research. Just take a drive to Emalahleni. You'll see a whole lot of smoke. So you don't need to do research. It's dirty. So we are going to take the coal that we have. we're going to put it through our technology. We're going to get green hydrogen because our process is not a combustion process. We're not burning nothing. We're harvesting the carbon out of the coal, make use of that, get the green hydrogen, and then turn all the existing power stations, turn them around, make them a hydrogen-fired power stations. There will be no smoke coming out of any of them.
Now, this is a very different point of view that one hasn't heard in very recent weeks or days even. So you speak of making use of what we have, and you speak of a long-term plan and a short-term plan. In the short term, is it possible, for example, in the next 2 years to then make this a reality? If so, what is needed beyond using what we have? If the resources are there, it maybe sounds like a matter of the will to make it a reality.
It only takes the will, the support. That's what it's going to take as a basis, as a start. So we have to agree that, okay, well, climate change, the leaders are doing their best, and we're supporting that to comply with the climate change rules, because it's a fact, or maybe it's not a fact, but it's the research that's based saying that this is no good making smoke. So we are supporting that. But while we're doing that, in a short term, if we collaborate, if we get support, if we work together, we will be broadcasting 2024 election with no load shedding.
We'll definitely call you back in 2024 to hear
I'm
whether there was a will, and that support. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. We look forward to having more on this conversation with you in the next few days. Thank you very much for availing yourself.
Thank you.
Mr. Naphtally Mafa. He works extensively in Australia in the field of green hydrogen. Do stay with Newzroom Afrika. When we return, we'll